Welcome to Simplified UPSC by PPP, where we listen, learn, and grow together. Detailed lecture notes in English and Hindi, plus practice questions for prelims and mains, only on our Telegram channel. Link in description. Like and subscribe for more.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission is always the same: to take complex source material, distill the critical information, and deliver high-yield insights tailored specifically for your goals. Today, we're tackling a really foundational topic, something absolutely critical if you're preparing for competitive exams like the UPSC. We're doing a deep dive into NCERT Class 11 Biology, Chapter 11, Transport in Plants. And before we jump in, just a quick and humble acknowledgement. If this kind of specialized content is useful for you for your serious exam prep, please consider joining the paid membership on our YouTube channel, Simplified UPSC by PPP. That is, of course, only if you're capable. Your support is just. It's absolutely crucial. It allows us to do this. So a massive shout out to all of our existing members. Your dedication literally funds the creation of this material. And for everyone listening, please take a quick second to like this video and share a valuable comment below. It helps a lot.
It really does. Okay, so transport in plants. The topic forces us to think about a colossal logistical challenge.
Right. It's not like an animal with a heart.
Right. Exactly. There's no central pump, yet you have these massive trees, sequoias, that have to move water and nutrients hundreds of feet into the air, completely against gravity.
So the big question is, how?
How do they do it? How does this internal logistics network actually function? We're going to unpack the systems that are responsible for this long-distance movement.
Okay, let's unpack this. But I guess before we can even talk about the huge vascular highways, we need to start smaller, right at the cellular level.
Yes, exactly. You have to understand the micrologistics first. The movement across the cell membrane itself, that dictates everything.
What gets in, what stays out.
Precisely. And it all comes down to gradients and energy. We can really break down nutrient transport into 3 core modes, and it's all based on one question. Does it need metabolic energy or ATP?
Okay, so what's mode number 1?
The simplest one is diffusion. This is completely passive. It requires 0 ATP. It's just molecules moving down their concentration gradient.
From high concentration to low, the natural flow of things.
The natural flow. But sometimes, even if a molecule is going downhill, it might need a little help crossing that fatty membrane.
So it needs a helper.
And that's facilitated transport. It's still passive, so no ATP is needed, and it's still moving down the gradient. But it uses special proteins in the membrane to speed things up.
Like a specific doorway for a specific molecule?
Perfect analogy. It's a dedicated channel. But the real power move for a plant, the thing that lets it be really selective, that comes with active transport.
And this is the one that costs energy.
This one absolutely demands ATP. It needs metabolic energy because it's moving substances uphill.
Against their concentration gradient.
Yes, against the gradient. This is how a plant can pull in essential minerals like potassium or nitrates and concentrate them inside its roots, even if the concentration in the soil is really low. It's expensive, but it's essential for survival.
And when you say expensive, that brings us to the medium for all of this, which is water. We kind of take it for granted, but the source material really highlights this. A watermelon is over 92% water.
And even a hardy herbaceous plant is about 10 to 15% water by fresh weight. It's the solvent for everything. The protoplasm itself is basically this incredibly complex solution with water as its base.
Okay, so that leads to a problem of scale.
A huge problem of scale.
Yeah.
Simple diffusion is fine for moving things across, a single cell.
Yeah.
But it is hopelessly slow for moving things over the distances in a whole plant.
It would take years for water to diffuse to the top of a tree.
Exactly. And that's why the whole system relies on what we call mass flow, or bulk movement.
Why is that so much better?
Well, because diffusion is driven by individual concentration differences. Mass flow is driven by pressure differences.
Oh, okay.
So for that long-distance transport, from the root tip to the leaf tip, the entire column of water and all its dissolved minerals move together in bulk, pushed or pulled by a pressure gradient. It's just far, far more efficient.
So let's follow that journey. It all starts with water absorption in the root.
Right, and specifically the millions and millions of root hairs.
The source describes them as these thin-walled, slender extensions of root epidermal cells.
And their entire function is just geometry. They exist to massively increase the surface area available for capturing water and minerals.
And that initial entry into the root hair is that diffusion.
Purely by diffusion.
Yeah.
Water and minerals follow their concentration gradients right into those cells. But the second they're inside, the transport system splits. It immediately divides into two fundamental pathways.
The Apoplast and the Symplast.
Correct. You have to know the difference between these two.
Okay, so detail those for us. Why does the plant need both?
So the Apoplast pathway is, you can think of it as the non-living network. Water moves through the continuous system of adjacent cell walls.
So it's not actually inside the cells.
Not at all. It's like water seeping through a continuous sponge. It's rapid, it's unimpeded because it doesn't have to cross any plasma membrane.
And
The simplest pathway is the opposite. It involves the living parts of the cell. Water moves through the cytoplasm of one cell, through a channel called a plasmodesmata, and into the cytoplasm of the next cell.
So that's going to be a slower, more controlled route.
Much slower, much more controlled. But here's where it gets really interesting, especially for exam purposes. That fast Apoplast pathway, it hits a dead end, a critical traffic jam.
You're talking about the Casparian strips.
The Casparian strips of the Endodermis, the source is very clear. The Apoplast path is continuous except at this one single point.
And what's the function of that strip? Why block the fast lane?
This is such a high-yield insight. The Casparian strip is made of a waxy, water-impervious substance called suberin. It acts as a mandatory checkpoint.
A gatekeeper.
The ultimate gatekeeper. Any water that was cruising along in that fast Apoplast pathway is forced to stop. It has to cross the plasma membrane and enter the cytoplasm of an endodermal cell.
So it's forced into the simplest pathway.
It's forced into the slow lane. And by doing that, the plant gains complete control. The endodermis functions as a selective barrier. It can actively transport the minerals it wants into the vascular system and block anything it doesn't. It's the plant's filter.
Okay, so once the water and minerals clear that checkpoint, they enter the big leagues, the vascular systems for long-distance transport.
The xylem and the phloem. And this is where directionality becomes absolutely key.
They're two completely different supply chains.
Completely distinct. The xylem is for water and inorganic minerals. It moves them from the roots up to the leaves and stem.
And since water is constantly being lost from the leaves through transpiration,
The flow has to be unidirectional. It's always, always upwards.
we hear about things like root pressure and the transpiration pull model. How do those fit in?
So root pressure is a minor push from below. It happens when roots actively pump ions into the xylem and water follows by osmosis. But it's not nearly strong enough for tall trees.
So the main driver is the pull.
The main driver is the transpiration pull. It's an incredible mechanism based on the physics of water cohesion, adhesion. As water evaporates from the leaves, it creates this massive negative pressure, a tension, that literally pulls the entire column of water up the plant like a rope.
So it's not a biological pump, it's physics.
It's mostly physics, driven by the sun and the atmosphere. Now, contrast that constant upward pull with the much more complex logistics of the phloem.
Right. The phloem is the food delivery system.
It's the nutrient delivery service. It moves sugars made during photosynthesis, mainly from the leaves, to all the other parts of the plant that need energy.
And because those needs change, the flow has to be more flexible.
Exactly. The flow in the phloem is bidirectional. It can go up or down.
What determines the direction?
It's completely dictated by metabolism, specifically the source-sink relationship. A leaf doing photosynthesis is a source of sugar. A growing root is a sink that uses sugar, so the flow is downwards.
But that can change.
It can completely reverse. In the spring, when a new flower bud starts to grow, that bud is a powerful sink. If the plant draws on sugars stored in the roots to feed that bud, then the root becomes the source, and the flow is upwards. This variability is the single most important thing to remember about phloem.
And what about the cargo? The source had a very specific point about nitrogen that seems important.
Yes, this is a crucial distinction for UPSC. We often think of xylem as just carrying inorganic ions, but the source specifies that a lot of the nitrogen, much of it, is actually carried in the organic form
As amino acids?
as amino acids and related compounds. And this happens in both the xylem and the phloem. It confirms these two systems aren't totally separate. There's exchange happening, balancing the plant's needs.
Okay, let's pivot now. Let's synthesize some of these foundational concepts that you see tested all the time in comparative questions.
Good idea. Let's do a quick rapid-fire review. First up, water potential. The absolute benchmark you have to remember is pure water.
By definition, pure water has the maximum water potential.
The maximum, it's set to 0. Any solute you add to it, anything at all, makes the water potential negative. It goes down.
Okay, next up, imbibition. It sounds like absorption, but it's different.
Very different. It's a special type of diffusion. The definition is key. It's the absorption of water by solid, colloidal materials. Think of dry seeds or dry wood swelling up.
And that generates a huge amount of pressure.
Immense pressure. It's what allows a germinating seed to break through asphalt.
Okay, and last one, plasmolysis.
Plasmolysis is all about what happens to a plant cell in a specific type of solution. If you put a plant cell in a hypertonic solution, one with a higher solute concentration than the cells inside,
Water will rush out of the cell.
water rushes out, and the living part of the cell, the protoplast, shrinks and pulls away from the cell wall.
Oh.
That state is plasmolysis. It's a critical concept for understanding cell viability.
So, to synthesize all of this, plant transport is just this incredible feat of resource management. It starts with molecular movement at the cell membrane.
Right, both passive diffusion and that costly active transport.
And scales it up to mass flow to move things over huge distances. And the root uses that Casparian strip as this brilliant mandatory gatekeeper.
A selective filter.
Mhm.
And then the core takeaway for long-distance flow is the direction. Xylem is the one-way street, pulling raw materials up, mostly using physics.
But the phloem is the smart network, the sophisticated bidirectional system that's constantly rerouting food up or down based on the plant's real-time metabolic needs.
That source-sink dynamic is everything.
So, given that the movement in the phloem is dictated entirely by that fluctuating source-sink relationship, here's a final thought for you to consider. How might a major environmental stressor, say a sudden unexpected frost or a severe drought, how would that immediately alter the flow map inside a large tree? When photosynthesis is suddenly throttled and the energy supply plummets, how does the plant decide what's a priority? Where does the sink truly lie when survival is on the line? And that concludes our deep dive into the logistics of plant transport. We really trust this breakdown gives you the high-yield perspective you need for your competitive exams. As always, we are committed to providing this kind of valuable content. So please, if you're capable, subscribe and join the paid membership on the Simplified UPSC by PPP YouTube channel to support us. And again, a huge thank you to all our existing members. Don't forget to hit that like button and leave your valuable comments below. Thank you for joining us on the deep dive.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Telegram and Instagram. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.